have the mindset. You just need the means. Hello, we're Qtrade. Investment is our calling, and we are fully invested in what we do. We craft tools so you can realize opportunity. We shape experience so you can execute with ease. We offer support so you can move forward. We do it so you can invest with confidence. We are the map makers. You are the explorer. We are the pen and ink. You are the author. So go, find your way, unleash your dreams, write your own future.
I'm Christine Kennedy, and I work in the Office of Alumni Engagement. And on behalf of the McMaster Alumni Association, I'd like to thank you for joining us on the second webinar, where we will be getting a deeper dive into the online investing platform, Qtrade. Before I introduce our speaker, Joe, I'd like to mention that the McMaster Alumni Association launched a new affinity program last month with Qtrade, and we're offering the alumni or an alumni preferred pricing on trades and a bonus incentive of 50 free trades for new accounts open before the end of June. So you have, what, 2 days left after this? For those of you who joined us a few weeks ago, I'd like to welcome you back. And I'm sure you are excited about learning more about the Qtrade platform. And for those joining us for the first time, thank you for joining us. Tonight, we are joined by Joe Firrincieli. He's the Director of Sales, who is going to take us into this deeper dive of the platform. Before Joe takes over, just a little bit of housekeeping we always like to do at the beginning of our webinars. We will have a Q&A session after Joe's presentation. And so at the bottom of your screen, if you're on a laptop, and I think it's at the top, if you're on an iPad, you'll see a Q&A, a little icon. So feel free to type in your questions there. We did have a number of pre-submitted questions, both last time when we did this webinar and for the webinar tonight. And so Joe and his team have tried to weave those questions into the webinar tonight. So hopefully those questions are answered. And also, I would just like to make note that sometimes questions are asked that are sort of out of the scope of the webinar. And so we're not always able to answer questions. So we do apologize for that. But the questions that we are able to, we will get to tonight. And if there are questions we can't get to, Joe and Carolyn and the Qtrade team will get back to you. We can pull those questions and get back to you, because we definitely want to answer as many questions as we can on this new platform that the MAA, the McMaster Alumni Association, is working with. We're excited. Sorry, Joe, that was a ramble. Take it over. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Christine, and really happy to be here again. Thank you, everyone, for joining me, those that came to our first webinar and those of you that are coming to our second webinar, taking a deeper dive into online investing with Qtrade. Really excited to be here and take a little deeper dive into Qtrade Direct Investing. So let's just jump right in. While markets have gone up and down, many investors, especially newer ones, make 3 common mistakes. And these are the 3 common mistakes I'd like you to avoid when it comes to online investing. Number 1, betting on speculative trends. Some turn out to be solid performers, while maybe some others don't. And I always wonder, instead, take a balanced approach with the reward and long term. Some examples of what we've experienced in speculative trends or stocks were the marijuana stocks, as well as cryptocurrencies, which we hear more and more about in the news. Number 2, being too conservative when timelines are long, or alternatively, being too aggressive when timelines are short. So as you remember from webinar 1, consider your investment plan. Set your time horizon to make sure you meet those needs. And last but not least, number 3, analysis paralysis. Sometimes learning about investing can be overwhelming. There's a lot of information, and especially with technology, the flow of that information can be overwhelming. Don't quit. Try and find a few easy ways or options to get started, as we talked about in webinar 1 through our getting started part. Today, we'll be looking on focusing how to decide what to buy, how to add responsible investing or IRI approach, if you'd like to your investments, how to minimize fees, how to make trades, and how to protect yourself through market ups and downs. And as Christine mentioned earlier, at the end, there will be an opportunity for us to answer some of those questions that you might have. So let's just start with a quick review of some of the online trading steps that we discussed in our last webinar. If you remember some of the steps for online investing, we had discussed choosing and opening an account, whether that being a TFSA, an RSP, or a cash account. Fund that account by either bill payment, transfer, or ETF, and then look to choose and buy the appropriate investment for you, whether that's equities, stocks, fixed income, or GICs or cash and equivalents. There was also some misunderstandings that I wanted to address in today's presentation as well. You can open more than one account at more than one brokerage, and you can buy multiple asset types or investment types or asset classes, no matter which account you open, whether that's a TFSA, RSP, or cash account. We had a lot of questions around fees and the cost of investing. There are ways to optimize and focus on the value you're getting from your online brokerage, but fees will vary by brokerage, so you can find ways to minimize them. Here's 4 examples of that. Management fees, as an example. Fund managers do charge to operate ETFs and mutual funds. They often charge a management expense ratio, or known in the industry as an MER. And it has nothing really to do with the brokerage. It's often dealt with by the fund companies and the fund managers in charging that fee. There are transfer fees as well. So these are charged when you move from one brokerage to another. Usually most companies will reimburse that fee. At Qtrade, we will reimburse up to $150 of reimbursement for moving from one account to another. So let's say you have one account at another brokerage and you're choosing to move it to Qtrade Direct Investing, we will reimburse you up to $150. There's account fees, so there are regular intervals of fees that are charged. They can be waived by either having a certain amount in your account or regular contributions. And typically, depending on which brokerage you're at, those can result in about $100 per month or more. We have a $25 quarterly admin fee that can be waived, obviously by having an amount in your portfolio or by actively trading or having trades done within a given quarter. And last but not least, trading fees. These are charged when you buy or sell securities, something that you need to consider when you are looking at an online brokerage platform. Oftentimes, you can use different investment vehicles like ETFs or mutual funds which do trade for free, but not all brokerages offer that. At Qtrade Direct Investing, we have 100 commission-free ETFs, which I'm going to take a little bit of a deeper dive in our demo, which are options that give you choice and flexibility when it comes to investing, as well as help trying to minimize those costs for you. Now, how do we choose the right investments? How do we decide what to buy? There's 2 main ways that we can actually buy investments, either pre-constructed investments or pre-constructed diversified investments. These tend to be the easiest way, and often are pre-constructed portfolios like ETFs or mutual funds that allow you to purchase multiple investments under one low product fee. Oftentimes, they're screeners and filters. The research is done for you, and essentially all of that investment decisions have been picked for you. Or you can personally evaluate. You can buy individual investments. Some online brokerages provide extensive info for investors, such as analyst recommendations, research, market research, daily news, as well as portfolio tools and calculators to help you make decisions on picking the right investments for you. And this, essentially, the research is done by you. Now let's just jump quickly into a poll. I'd like to hear from you guys. Which type of investment appeals to you most? Either A, pre-constructed diversified investment portfolios like ETFs or mutual funds, or B, individual investments that you research and choose on your own, or maybe it's a combination of both, C. We'll just wait for those poll questions to come in.
Joe, I don't know if a poll came up, so maybe what we can do, sorry everyone, maybe we can you can just put it in the chat and we can take a look.
Absolutely, and we can come back to that. No matter what the answer is though, Christine, I'll jump right back in. No matter what the answer is, whether it's a pre-constructed diversified investment like ETFs or individual investments that you want to research, as I mentioned in our first webinar, I really want you to focus on the options that you have available to you. There's no wrong or right answer when it comes to these. Obviously, that's something that we want to focus on, but we do want you to be aware that there are options for you, either having that research done for you and doing the analysis and being able to pick those by a pre-constructed diversified investment, or you digging a little bit deeper into the research and the tools that we have available to actually choose your own investments. Now, getting started with pre-constructed investments, typically the easiest way. What I wanted to do today was actually explain to you a little bit more how buying these pre-constructed baskets of ETFs actually allow you to gain that diversification in one single product. As you can see here by that funnel, whether investors buy individual ETFs or newer ETF of ETFs, known as multi-assets, we can really create some diversification by equities in Canada, US, and emerging markets, and not have to pick and choose individual investments. Both ETFs and mutual funds give exposure to thousands of companies and issuers at once. Their experienced investors often continue with this strategy and have an opportunity to build on this research and really focus on picking the best options for you when it comes to investing. As I mentioned earlier, we have at Qtrade 100 commission-free ETFs. Some of those are multi-asset ETFs, which I'll show you a little bit, as well as responsible investing ETFs to help you choose or narrow down that field for you when it comes to picking your own investments. If you choose to do it on your own, we do have tools to help support that. We have tools that you can see here, analyst recommendations that help you suggest which stocks to buy, sell, and hold, as well as dig a little bit deeper into some of the research and the analyst research that we have, and third-party perspectives to really give you a lot more insight on exactly what it is that you're looking for if you're doing your own research. We also have screeners to help narrow down your ETFs and filter those investments based on whether it's provider, currency, or what it is that they're looking for overall when it comes to fees, as example, as we mentioned from an AER perspective early on. So we do have a number of tools enabled in our Qtrade Direct Investing platform. I just want to give you a quick snapshot of what they look like. We are going to take a deeper dive into them as we go through the presentation and I go through the demo environment, but really wanted you to focus on those two options. The first option being the diversified investment option, or pre-constructed diversified investment options, where you have that opportunity to have the research and the analytical recommendations made for you, or you can actually dig a little deeper with the research tools that we have in order to help you make those decisions. For those of you that are looking to offer socially responsible investing or add a socially responsible investing into your portfolios, we do have an option. We are focusing on environment, social, and governance. So I often want to take a step back and make sure that you're aware of what responsible investing is. Also known as socially responsible investing, or RI, is also known as environment, social, and governance investing. It's a strategy that assesses a company's financial success as well as its impact on the world. It is a rapidly growing segment and it is gaining a lot of attention, especially with many investors. It does improve overall portfolios while trying to make a positive contribution on the world. So definitely becoming more and more of a focus, especially with our younger investors. So again, how do we look at incorporating responsible investing into our portfolios? The exact same way as we do individual investments. So there are two ways. The easiest way is pre-constructed RI investments. These include RI-focused ETFs or green bonds that fund environmentally friendly projects and much more. Fund managers will take a look, invest, and monitor on your behalf, and they'll add these to the underlying holdings for you. Research has been done for you when you're looking at these pre-constructed RI investments. Or you can choose to personally evaluate investments through responsible investing. Oftentimes, many companies publish info on their IR-related targets, publication scores, highlight top picks, bonds, as well as much more, such as research tools and calculators and screeners and filters to help you decide which portfolios of responsible investing or which stocks or investments are best suited for you. Essentially, that's where you have to do the research and it's done by you. I'm going to try another poll question. If there's an opportunity for you, how many of you think you will be interested in RI investing? A, are you interested? B, is it not a focus for you're looking for? Or C, do you need to learn more to know if you're interested? And maybe, Christine, if I bounce back and the polls don't come up, I'll answer this.
Yeah, I just said, please answer here in the chat to everyone.
Okay. And if you can just let me know.
Yeah. I see C. Oh, more A's and C's. It looks like there's a tie between A's and more C's. A few B's. It looks like C is probably your number one, followed by A, with just not even. I think there was only one B.
Okay.
Yep. It looks like C is probably the the majority.
Perfect. And I really appreciate, thank you guys, everyone, for your patience on the poll questions, and the technology obviously being a component that we are struggling at this moment, but good opportunity that you guys are using your feedback in the chat group. And thanks, Christine, for facilitating. So as you heard from Christine, you need to learn more to know if you're interested. I think that's important. And that's a great approach for any new investor that's looking into responsible investing. It is a scope that is gaining a lot of interest, and a lot of information is being outsourced or being more readily available. So really dig deeper, do your homework, find out what you're interested in, how can you incorporate it, and then before you take your jump into RI investing, make sure that it's part of your investment plan. How much of a focus do you want to make it? How much do you want to build into or work into your portfolio? And is it really something that you're interested in from a growth potential for the long term? So very good, and thank you for answering that through the chat group. Now, if we want to dig a little deeper, and we will touch upon these when we go through the demo, but I just really wanted to give you a couple screenshots here. If you remember from our last webinar, we had some helpful resources, which was the beginner's guide to start investing. Please have an opportunity, if you haven't done so, to look through that. It's got a lot of information to access, how to get started with investing if it's your first time, whether you're the most novice investor or the most sophisticated investor, really to provide you with a step-by-step process on how to get started with investing online. We also have another guide called the Guide to Getting Started with Stock Trading, and that's taking a deeper dive into how to actually place a trade. What are some of the steps involved? What are some of the research tools and calculators that we have in order to support you in making your decisions? And then we've got a number of tools available that we're going to go through in our demo, but here's a quick snapshot of one of them to really help you focus on if you are looking for an individual option of choosing your own investments. You can see here where you can hit under the quotes and market to really dig a little deeper and have information on portfolio, the profile of the company that you're looking at, charts, recent news, as well as the research that we currently have gathered from third-party providers to really focus on making sure you're making the right decisions when it comes to investing. All you simply need to do is go under the quotes and market info, type in the symbol or ticker name that you might know or be aware of, and really have all the information at your fingertips, whether that be price, performance, underlying holdings, or if you're looking for other options or deeper dive into individual investments. When you're looking to place a trade, I think it's important for you to know, oftentimes we do get a lot of investors that they get to the part where they've already now selected they have their account, they've selected the options that they want to choose, whether that be individual securities, fixed income, or a GIC option, and they get down to we're getting ready to actually place the trade, and they kind of take a second step back or get a little bit hesitated. I'm going to go through it. This is just as a reference for you, but it's really straightforward. Once you place your first one, you'll get more and more familiar with it. All of them are very accessible, as you can see here by the order entry here, whether it's an equity, mutual fund, fixed income. There's drop downs to assist you, as well as directional opportunities and definitions on the right side to make sure that you're doing the right type of a purchase for you or sell for you. Okay. Now let's just take a quick look at a demo of Qtrade's direct investing platform. I'll touch upon a few things. We'll take a little bit of a deeper dive into the platform itself, the resources and the tools that we have available, and then we can go back to the presentation. Bear with me one moment. Perfect. So if you remember this from our first webinar, the look and feel of our Qtrade Direct Investing platform for me is one of the best in the marketplace. It's really easy, straightforward to use. Just reflecting back on our webinar one, if you remember the education tab, I want to start there today because I think it's a great resource for us to start, again, whether you're a first-time user with Qtrade Direct Investing or a long-time user on online brokerage trading. It's really a great resource to learn and build on. If you remember the Getting Started tab, this is an opportunity for us to really dig deeper. As I said, we were looking at creating an investment plan, setting out which tools, discover the investment ideas, evaluating stocks, trading, monitoring, and then the constant reviewing of your holdings. That would essentially be your process when it comes to online investing. Discover those ideas, set out your plans, evaluating those stocks. You'll notice as I hover over some of the blue lighted tabs, there's actually short links or hyperlinks that will enable you to go directly to them. So for example, if you're looking for technical research to maybe take a deeper dive on an ETF or a stock that you might be interested in, you can potentially just click on the getting started page, go to technical research, enter the ticker number or the stock name, and be able to get as much information possible on the individual security that you're looking for. If it's maybe you're looking for some guidance and you want to evaluate a stock that you're looking at, you might look at an analyst recommendation. And again, a brief description just to explain, here we're having a focus of having third-party analyst recommendations, make informed decisions. All the research is done for you in both the Canadian and US investment marketplaces, as well as top picks for growth, value, and income, if you're looking at that. Okay. We talked a little bit about ETFs. I think it's important to highlight we have 100 commission-free ETFs. One of the questions I get, especially from many people, is, what are your options around ETFs? And while many of our competitors do offer ETFs, there's often fees associated with those ETFs. What I personally like about Qtrade Direct Investing is the opportunity that we have 100 commission-free ETFs, which gives you a lot more choice and a lot more flexibility when it comes to picking options. And an example of that is flexibility and choice. So as you can see here, we have ETFs that are offered by iShares or BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, Horizon, Desjardins. If you've never heard of these names, do yourself a favor, look a little deeper into them. They're really well known, especially in the ETF market space. But looking at an example of some of the 100 ETFs that we have, we talked a little bit about the ETFs that were available. We spoke a little bit about responsible investing, if you remember. So you can pick by asset type or by asset class, or by type. So let's say you're looking for a responsible investing ETF. You can sort it here, and you can see here we've got a number of responsible investing ETFs that you can choose from if you're doing your own individual research. We also talked about multi-asset. If you remember multi-asset being an option, and that's where basically having pre-constructed portfolios, a basket of ETFs that are built into one to create an underlying portfolio. And in this one, as an example, we have here the ticker XINC, which is iShares Core Balanced Income Portfolio, which is a multi-asset focused on a global area and focused on income as well. So just a quick example to show you the options that you have in the space. And as you can see, as I scroll down, there are many options for you, both in the Canadian as well as in the US dollar option, if you're looking for responsible investing in US dollars. So a lot of choice, a lot of flexibility when it comes to both. And that really enables you to really look at building a well-diversified portfolio and have those specific positions, especially in different markets, either by asset class, geographies, sector, market caps, and even currency. I wanted to share a little bit of the trading component. So as I mentioned, if you remember seeing that screen before, let's use this as an example. I'm not actually going to place the mock trade, but just to give you an example of how easy it is to actually walk through the process of buying or selling the position. So when you look at the equity entry order, you can pull your account, where the money's coming from, which market you plan to be working with. And in this case, we're going to use Canada. What I like about this feature is as long as you remember that ticker, you can see here that it will give you the option of what it is. And this is really something for you to make sure, as you're referencing and reviewing your trade, make sure that it's the appropriate investment that you're looking to buy, what the current pricing is. And then as well, you've got a glossary of information here. So for example, let's say you wanted to get a little bit more clarification on what a stop limit price was. It's a quick pull down to be able to identify exactly what you're looking for. If you're unclear, or if you're looking at a perfect terminology or a definition when it comes to trading, in most cases in Canada, let's say you just want to do a trade at market or whatever it's trading at based on the specific day, you can place that order by just clicking, as I mentioned, these drop-down menus. So you're buying 100. In this case, you're taking money from your margin account or your DFSA, whatever the account is. The market you're dealing with is in Canada. Here's the security that you're looking to buy. You're looking to buy 100 shares at the market value through the day in purchasing that order. You'll review your order and then simply place that. You also have some information on the right-hand side. For example, if you're looking for a tutorial, for example, let's say at one point it's not working out for you and the definitions aren't working, we also have a tutorial as well as a contact us here to help you support in placing that trade. Okay. Now, there is a lot of information that's available to you here. I'm not going to go over everything. What I urge you guys to do is take it for a test drive. We do have an opportunity to set up a trial account, or if you do have an account that you're looking to open in the next few days, walk through the process, take a look at the portfolios and charts that we have, as well as the market commentary. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the investment tools. As you can see there, we have a number of them. So if you're ever wanting to create a watch list of individual securities that you might be interested in, whether those be bank stocks or responsible investing securities that you're looking at, we can also create alerts, portfolio calculators, and tools to help you build that. And then we also have ETF screeners, which I spoke to you a little bit about early on, which help you really clarify what it is that you're looking for. And then again, if you want to focus on an ETF in the emerging markets, we have a list of those and be able to classify that on your risk tolerance and build that out. Analyst recommendations. This is probably one of my most favorite tabs, and definitely want to spend a little bit more time here. Essentially, we have a lot of information that we get from Trading Central, also Morningstar, as well as Desjardins, which provides us with a lot of research. In this particular drop-down menu, you have analyst recommendations. So you can see here, you can pick individual areas of the market that you're interested in, get a third-party perspective, in this case from our Morningstar analyst, to be able to provide you with a more calculated information. What I really like about this is if you actually had to outsource somewhere else, you'd have to pay a fee for this type of research outside or above and beyond. Being part of the Qtrade Direct Investing platform, it's all embedded in our fee, especially for you guys at McMaster alumni, that's a reduced fee. So you're getting access to all this information and all this research available at your fingertips. At any time, as I mentioned, you have these little window boxes that enable you to enter a security. As I mentioned, the ETF that we spoke about earlier, and we can dig a little deeper. As you can see here, detailed information that's available for you. You can place the trade as well directly through here, a buy and a sell. You have specific charts, news, as well as research that's available to you by taking a look at exactly what it's doing in the indices based on the range. You can look at overall what is invested in, as well as the areas of geographic breakdown and how that composition exists in the holdings that you're looking at. If you remember, this was that multi-asset group. So as you can see here, we've got a core position broken down in a diversified pre-constructed investment portfolio of ETFs that actually make up the holding, as you see here, of the core iShares Core Balanced Income ETF. So providing you with a lot of options, absolutely, and definitely an opportunity for us to take a deeper dive. Now, I will preface, there is a lot of information that's available to you. So definitely, as I mentioned early on, don't get caught up in the analysis paralysis. Really focus on what it is that you're looking for. Pick 2 or 3 things that make it easier for you to make that decision, and really help you focus on making sure that you hit your goals and your time horizon that you're looking for. One of my favorite, and one that I'd like to spend a little bit of time on, is the value analyzer. It's probably not as utilized as much as I would have liked to see by many investors, but definitely want to share it with you guys. I often joke around. Let's say, for example, you're at a barbecue party, and oftentimes one of the conversations that comes up at a barbecue party is, what are you binge watching? And oftentimes many people have probably binge watched, many of you have probably binge watched many episodes on Netflix or on Amazon Prime. And you might be thinking to yourself as you're sitting back, I wonder what Netflix is doing. So this is a great tool to really just type in either the full name, Netflix, or the ticker, and be able to just really take a quick snapshot of what Netflix is doing, whether it's an opportunity for you to buy or sell. And I'm using Netflix as an example only because the conversation of binge watching TV or an episode seems to be a common discussion with many people right now. But here's a quick example where I can just look up a quick stock and security and really look at how it's positioned. You can see here what it is from a value summary on what their earnings are, their PE ratios. You can also look at our evaluation of whether it's overvalued, undervalued based on the research that we have, or at fair value. Netflix's primary business, what they do, obviously they're streaming videos online on demand service, mainly focused country worldwide. And then if you do want to dig a little deeper, we have a number of charts that you can take a closer look at, whether it's revenue and earnings that might be important to you, whether it's price history over the last year. And I like using price history for me over the last year, especially with 2020 happening, or the pandemic. We saw a drastic drop in the pricing, and then a steady rise as more and more people were at home watching more TV and really focusing on the stock, which grew quite significantly over that period of time. Okay. Going back to research as well, we talked a little bit about some of the ETF research as well as the mutual fund research that we have available. These are all tabs that you can access to provide you with more information and really focus on that opportunity to really position yourself well in either having a pre-constructed portfolio approach or picking individual securities for yourself. I'm going to end back on the education tab. At any time or any point, there is an opportunity for you. If you're getting stuck on where to look and how to look, remember the Getting Started tab. Focus on those 5 steps that we talked about. Discover your investment idea, evaluate your stocks, when to place the trade, monitor, and constant reviewing of your holding when it is that you're placed to make sure that you're still on track for meeting your goals and your time horizon. Also, I want to make sure you're not alone when it comes to investing. So at any point, you'll notice here a Guide Me tab. These are an option for you where you can frequently asked questions. For example, how do I use a portfolio calculator? How do I transfer money, or how do I place a trade? They're quick shortcuts for the do-it-yourselfer. We also have an opportunity to contact our call service team, which is one of the best in the industry. We've won many awards, really focusing on providing you with excellent customer service to help you and guide you through either the onboarding process, the trading process, or the tools and research that we have available to you. Now, let me just start off by a quick quote. This is something that I thought was very interesting, especially when we're doing, especially with what's happening in the market right now. A 10% decline in the market is fairly common. It happens about once a year. What we realize, though, is many investors that actually stay invested are likely to sell in a panic as opposed to remaining invested. That actually hurts many investors. In fact, if they do stay invested and they do anticipate a 10% decline, they actually benefit from wealth building and the power of investing. You might have seen a variation of this or a combination of this, but this is really the bull and bear markets, which you might be hearing about, especially in the news. And it's looking at a 60-year view. What I really want you to take away from this is, typically when you see these downturns in the market, or referred to as the bear markets, after every bear market, there has been a longer, stronger bull market. And like we mentioned early on, volatility it will exist, especially when it comes to the markets. I want to focus on kind of the last portion of this chart, just to show you something a little bit more reflective. If you remember 2008, 2009, coined as the financial crisis, the market did negative 56.8, and it lasted 17 months in a bear market. We thought it was doom and gloom, if you remember the investments and all the news and the media that we were hearing about. Significantly after that, we saw a bull market, which lasted 132 months and grew 377%. So definitely focusing on the opportunity of, for every bear market, there is historically been a bull market that is stronger and longer. And staying invested enables you to participate through the downs as well as through the ups. Volatility exists. So what I really want you to consider is dollar cost averaging. Dollar cost averaging involves preset amounts as well as preset schedules, regardless of what's happening in the market. Here's an example just to show you of what that might look like. So let's say, for example, on January 1st, you were interested in buying a security for $50. You bought 40 units, and the amount that you preset was $2,000. On March 1st, the security price dropped to $20. You bought 100 units at that preset amount of $2,000. And then let's say, for example, on May 1st, the security price rose to $40. You bought only 50 units. Your amount, a pre-scheduled amount, was $2,000. You have spent $2,000 over that period of time from January to May. You spent a total of $10,000. But because of those fluctuations in marketed security prices, you were able to accumulate 320 units. What's interesting is the value on May 1st is 320 units based on whatever the security price was, let's say at $40. Your total value of your account is $12,800. So regardless of if the market dips or it rises, you're taking advantage of prices as they dip that are more lucrative or more attractive. As markets rise, you might not be buying as much for the same $2,000 investments, but really focusing on overall averaging out that investment. This enables us to really enabling us to have time in the market as opposed to timing the markets. And I think that that's something that we need to make sure and instill as a regular process when it comes to investing. Now, I know we don't have a poll question, but I really want you guys to answer this in the chat question. I really want to get your input on it. What do you think that the average Canadian return in the stock market has been from 1970 to 2015? A, -2%, B, 5%, C, 7%, or D, 10%? And Christine, if you don't mind moderating, that'd be great.
So most people are saying B. I think it's almost a tie between B and D. No more D's. Oh, one C. I'm going to say it looks like D is probably a couple. Yeah, I would say it's almost a fair split between B and D, with maybe D slightly eking B out.
Excellent. Thank you, Christine. It's a good question, because if you remember, looking at, again, this is the Canadian stock market. So during that time period, the answer is D, 10%. So interesting to see kind of your perspective on what we're seeing in the industry. Obviously, we hear more and more about the S&P as opposed to the TSX, but those are, again, areas where we want to continue to focus and build and get more information on. And as we see that continued trend, obviously the average return of around 10% in the Canadian stock market hasn't been bad over that period of time. I want you to focus on, we talked a little bit about, continuing. Obviously, we have a partnership with the McMaster alumni. Really happy to offer and proud to offer you guys, as being one of the first universities to really offer this alumni offer of 50 free trades when you open a new account with Qtrade Direct Investing. It's very simple. All you need to do in getting started is either a phone or computer. You'll be prompted to collect a few documents, whether that's your ID, your net worth, as well as verifying your account type. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes to complete your profile. Once you submit your application, we'll receive it. It has been approved, and it takes actually less than 24 hours to open an account. What does that mean to you guys? It's an opportunity to really have those 50 free trades in your back pocket. You have a full year to utilize them, available to the first 100 McMaster alumni who open an account. If you open the account with the promo code MAC50, there is an opportunity for you to extend that and build that out. All we need to do is get that in. And then you also benefit from Investor Plus pricing and the benefits of either trading at a discount, which is the pricing that you got. If you remember, what we're offering for McMaster alumni was $675, a dedicated support phone number, as well as the frequently asked questions and the links that you have available that we talked about on our demo site at your fingertips. So I just wanted to quickly ask another poll question, and maybe Christine, if you can bounce back in. Which of the following would you like more information on? Would it be A, more for beginner investors, B, more experienced investors, or C, I would like to learn about robo-advisors, or D, other, that maybe something you can write in the comment section?
We seem to have everything.
A mix of everything?
Yeah, I would say it's almost an even mix of everything. Oh, maybe A is pulling in the lead. Yes, I think A is pulling in the lead, but definitely a good mix of everything. But yes, I would say A is probably number one, and then followed by B and a couple C's.
Okay, perfect. And having that opportunity to really focus on, and it really helps me paint the picture on, obviously, the investors that we have on the call tonight, but looking for options. Again, having a do-it-yourself platform is an opportunity for you to learn, invest in yourself, build on the resources and tools that are available to you. Definitely with the McMaster alumni opportunity that you have, we are looking and focusing on minimizing those fees and getting you more and more accustomed to being able to make decisions that help you hit your goals and your time horizons. And I think that's important. Really glad that we had an opportunity to focus on what we spoke about today, was really taking that deeper dive into the tools. As I mentioned, you saw just a snapshot of the tools that we have available for you. We do have a trial account that you can access where you're able to walk through the same demo environment that I did. Or if you're focusing on opening your own account and taking advantage of the Mac 50, open your own account, have an opportunity to walk through the demos and the videos and the tutorials that we have available at your fingertips, as well as try and identify which resources are best suited for you, what type of investment you're focused on, whether that's a pre-constructed portfolio, which is, again, the easiest form where all the research is done for you, or choosing individual securities that you want to focus on and look at building your own portfolio for. With that, Christine, I'll hand it back to you if there's any questions that we can get from the audience or build on.
Yes, thanks for that, Joe.
No problem.
So, yes, hold on. Sorry, I think someone just wrote something in here. Yes, so sorry, Mary Lynn is saying, Christine, could you please send out an email giving us a link to enroll in the Qtrade application? Yes, so when we send this, we'll send out this a link to this webinar so you can rewatch it. And yes, we can send you a link to enroll in the Qtrade. I better make a note of that. Yes, we can definitely do that, Mary Lynn. And Jean had so I'm trying to do two things at once here.
No
Jean
problem.
had a question. Where can we get the dedicated support phone number for Investor Plus?
Great question. We can provide that number in our follow-up call, as well as in the research tools. There are a few questions that we have to answer and get back to them. So plan to see that communication, and that phone number will be added in there. That's a great question.
Okay, thanks for asking that, Jean. So someone is asking, what are the Qtrade fees, and how does this compare to other online investing platforms? I think $6.75. That's what I remember from last time and this time.
Yeah, that's a great question. So many of our competitors, if you look at the pricing models of many of our competitors, and I urge you to take a look at out there, are competitively priced. I think for all the services that we talked about and all the research tools that we have, you're looking at that $9.95 range or $9.99 range, especially the big banks. And you're getting limited features, so you're paying for what you're getting. And I think that when you are looking for your own investments and solutions that are important to you, it's important to decide what is important to you, whether the research is available to you or is it at an extra cost. Oftentimes we see many beginners, especially newer investors, looking at social media or other variations to find their research, and it's not really been vetted, or in most cases it could be simply someone's opinion. Having that opportunity to really have the research at your fingertips, the tools available to you. We are competitively priced, especially with McMaster. Offering 50 free trades as well is something, again, to help minimize those costs. Oftentimes other providers might charge you for the research tools. I use Morningstar as an example. So all the Morningstar research that is provided to you is at no extra cost. It's embedded in our fees. And that's something that some of our other providers either don't provide at all. So again, you have to outsource your own research somewhere else, or you have to pay an extra fee if that's a subscription that you're looking to buy. Same with the calculators and tools, as well as the filters and screeners. So definitely, I would always say it's never going to be an apples to apples comparison. In some cases, you might get options that might appeal to you, and you're not maybe interested in the research or the analytics part of it. You might be just focused on just the trade and the operational side. That's really something you need to consider when it comes to investing.
Thank you. So I just wanted to let everyone know, in case they don't have the chat open up, sort of depends on what device you're on. So Anne-Marie, my co-worker, has put in the link to the Alumni Association Qtrade site where you can sign up. So if you go into the chat, you can see that. And also someone asked in the Q&A if they could have a link to view the webinar from 2 weeks ago. And I have put that in the chat as well. And a question that came in, that was a good question. Question I would have asked. So how much money should I save before I start investing?
That's a great question. Saving doesn't actually stop you from investing. I think setting aside an emergency fund is important for your financial security. I think you can build investments at the same time. Often online trading doesn't mean that you have to have a specific amount or a minimum amount or a maximum amount when it comes to getting started on your investment journey. You should consider, like anything, budgeting. It allows you to really set some money aside, whether it be for an emergency account or starting to invest. And whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you can actually contribute. I do urge you, though, it's an opportunity to start early on. We've all heard of the successes and the stories and obviously opportunities that we see in the market. I'm a proponent of hearing, when you hear about volatility, typically the online brokerages do very well because there's people that are participating or wanting to participate in the markets, whether markets are doing poorly or doing positively. There has been a lot more interest, especially on the online brokerage side. So there's no set amount to answer your question. It really depends on your comfort level. Have a budget in place, whether that be $25 or $100. But starting the investment today, I think, is extremely important.
All right, thanks, Joe. That's
No problem.
sage advice, I would say. Are you able to answer this question, Joe? It's from Jane. She wants to know, how can she transfer her TFSA from a bank to Qtrade?
Great question. So there are transfer documents that are required. Transfers can take up to 2 weeks, especially from the relinquishing institution. All the forms are available on our website. So there is an opportunity just there. If you remember on the top part that had contact us, we also have forms option there. And it's basically listed there, transferring your TFSA or registered product to Qtrade. You'll fill out that form, send it in, and then we will process the trade on your behalf or process the transfer on your behalf. It can take up to 2 to 4 weeks just from a relinquishing institution, especially the banks. They do operate a little bit slower. And we will reimburse you up to $150 once that transfer comes in. So that's important to know as well, Jane. Definitely a good question. And then at any point, if you're stuck with filling out the that form, again, you can contact our management or contact our call center to be able to help assist you through that process. So you're not alone.
Great, thank you. Thanks for that, Jane. A question that came in the pre-submitted questions. So what is a good investment to savings ratio?
Oh, great question. I think it depends on that's a good question. I think you're depending on your personal situation. Everyone is different. Typically, if you're looking at an investment and you're looking at some of the common guidelines, it's around 15%, essentially. And if you're looking at least from what I remember, around 15% when it comes to investing for retirement, and about 5% for total investing, I think it was. Those are kind of, again, raw numbers, not something that I would highly hold me to or accountable to. I would say once you have a couple of things in place, your emergency fund, your budget, let's say your 3 to 6 month living expenses, can you allocate, or what portion can you allocate to investing? So it's hard to say this is the specific amount. I know when we talked about it in the past, it's been roughly around 15%, and then 5% for your general savings is typically a good kind of ballpark to kind of reflect back. But if you can't focus on that, that's definitely something that you need to consider. And it's highly dependent on your income and your personal financial situation.
Thank you. Hopefully that answered the person that asked that.
Good question.
Is on listening to that. So this one just came in. Are there other digital wealth platforms that Qtrade offers?
Yes, great question. There is another digital platform that we have, which is called Qtrade Guided Portfolios. That is our robo-advice platform. So you might have heard that term, robo-advice, and that's simply an opportunity for investors that are looking to invest online or digitally, but have the support and the resources of an advisor or robo-advisor platform to help them make their investment decisions. Oftentimes, it's a very simple process. They'll fill out a questionnaire. That questionnaire will best identify which portfolio is best suited to meet that risk tolerance and those needs. The benefit is you get automatic rebalancing in the portfolios to that allocation and making sure that it meets your risk tolerances and doesn't skew, as well as the constant ongoing and monitoring of the individual holdings. If you relate that to what we talked about today, especially in the Qtrade Direct Investing portfolios or Qtrade Direct Investing, most of that approach is done by yourself. So the rebalancing would have to be done by yourself. When it looks at picking your individual securities, that's already will be something that you need to choose. So the way that I really like classifying it is Qtrade Direct Investing would be that do-it-yourself approach. Everything that you need to do is done and initiated by you, rebalanced by you, but you're picking and doing everything when it comes to your investments. Qtrade Guided Portfolios would be that robo-advice platform where we're helping and assisting that process and making those decisions for you, with you.
Okay, thank you for that. The person who asked that. There are some, there are some companies that offer $0 trades. Why doesn't Qtrade offer this?
It's a good question. I'm sure you're hearing about it in the news. There is what we call a race to zero in both the financial industry, and many of our competitors are looking. Qtrade is looking at ways to help minimize the cost for our investors. Typically, you know, if I relate this to the US marketplace where you're hearing more of that news, Canada's 1/10 of the population, so the demand is not as big as it is in the US. Will we get to zero at one point? I don't have an answer for you at the moment. I know that at Qtrade Direct Investing, we're constantly looking at ways to evaluate, make enhancements, modify our platform to help support you make those decisions. I can say though, with conviction and confidence, if you look at our competitors in the space, there's only really two that are offering a zero commission fee, and they're very minimal at that. So we're kind of waiting to see what that environment's looking like, if there's any opportunity for us to take a deeper dive on that. But if you look at some of the big banks, they still haven't adjusted their fees. They're still not modifying them. So again, it's a very limited amount of providers that are offering that. Never say never, I guess, but it is something that we will take a closer look at and keep you guys informed of those changes if they do exist, or when they do exist.
Wonderful. Okay. And people on this webinar will be the first to know that.
Absolutely.
So we have another question that has come in. What level of activity or investment money is required to have the quarterly fee waived?
Good question. So it's $15,000 in your account as a minimum. We'll waive that. And forgive me, off the top of my head, I don't know the number of trades per quarter. I'll have to get back to you on that. I know that I want to say 15, but I'll double check with that. I don't want to give you a wrong answer. I'll answer that back in the questions that we have circled back to you.
Yep, that's what we would do. Oh, that question came in anonymous. So maybe what we'll do is we'll put that in the email that gets sent out to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
if that's an anonymous,
an anonymous question.
I think it's a good question for everybody to know anyway. I'll get them clarification on that.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think I don't see any other questions in the queue, and it is almost 7:25. It's a gorgeous night. So I'm assuming that means you've answered everyone's questions, Joe, with your very thorough webinar and the deep dive. So maybe we'll just wait a couple more seconds. Sure. And so like last time, this is being recorded, and we will close caption it, we'll get it up on YouTube, and then we'll send you a link. And in that email with the link, we'll put in some of these questions that we can get the answers to. That will probably, or Friday is a holiday, so we may not get that out until the beginning of next week, because today is already Tuesday. So hopefully that works for everyone. So thanks everyone who has already, taken advantage of the partnership we have with Qtrade. That's wonderful. Let your MacGrad friends know. And Joe, do you have any final thoughts or words you'd like to say before we bid everyone adieu?
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you guys for the opportunity for me to come out and speak to you guys. Obviously, there's a lot of information that we went through. I don't expect you guys to be experts in online investing overnight. So definitely do your research, ask as many questions as you can, compare what's out there versus what you are looking to focus on when it comes, and create a plan. I know we talked a little bit about that. Definitely having a plan helps you not fail and participate in areas that you want without having to take on all the losses or opportunities that we might not necessarily see. And remember, at the beginning, we said avoid those common mistakes. If you can kind of take away anything from today's presentation, really start making sure that you focus on avoiding those necessary mistakes that we see, especially for newer investors or existing investors. If you can do that, I think you'll be on the right track, and hopefully that right track is with Qtrade Direct Investing.
Perfect. So someone is, oh, you're welcome, Trish. So someone anonymously is asking, have you already reached the number of enrollments that can receive the free trades? And I'm responding, I'm not quite sure if you can answer that, Joe. I think we have to go back to your, probably back to the systems people, correct?
Yeah, I think that would be more of an operational question that we can get.
So I would say maybe that anonymous person, if they want to email me, I'm going to put my email in the chat here. If you want to email me and I can ask, we can email Carolyn. We can email Carolyn tomorrow morning and we can find that question out for you and I can respond back to you.
Yeah, Christine, I'll do that on my end. I'll get you an answer in the morning.
Okay, that is perfect.
I think there was a question that came up in the chat group. Are we able to have Joe or Carolyn's email address? Definitely in the frequently asked questions, if there's anything that I can help out with, as long as it's not account related or providing advice, if it's operational or you want more information on the platforms, you can share my, absolutely. Okay. Christine.
Okay. So Brianna, the same thing. I will share that with you because I don't have it right now, but I can share that with you. Brianna, I'll just copy and paste, make sure I write down who you are so we don't forget that. Yes, I can share that if Joe's giving me permission with you tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Joe and Carolyn. Okay, well, I think there's no more questions. I think that's it. So thanks, everyone. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Enjoy your evening. Now you know all about the ins and outs of Qtrade. Let's go make $1 million. 10% markets increase over that a very long time. But
absolutely. And thank you again, everyone, for your patience, especially with the poll questions. I really appreciated that.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening. We'll see you again at another event.
Bye now.
Bye.